Good evening. Welcome to the Jackson Systems training this evening. We have Honeywell this evening here with our RedLink training. We have the famous Gary Crosby doing training tonight, so excited to have Gary here.
It's my birthday. It's my birthday.
On his birthday. He is here doing training on his birthday.
Yeah,
so
just another day,
exciting to have you here, Gary. Always great to have him here and go over some great Honeywell products. So without further ado, cool. Gary, I'm going to turn it right over to you,
Thanks,
sir.
Man.
Yeah, it's easy.
So as always, if you're online, you can ask questions. If you're in the room, what's up, guys? Got some people coming in, a lot of traffic in Indy these days. So we're just going to specifically talk about RedLink tonight. There's food in the back, okay? Lots of food, so eat up. Thank you for coming, okay? So we're going to be specific to RedLink tonight, okay? We have a couple of different ways we connect to the internet at Honeywell, but we don't want to try to train on both of them at the same time. So tonight's going to be about RedLink. RedLink means wireless. RedLink means really good distances between your router and your thermostat or your zone panel or whatever wireless device that you're going to use. And you can do residential or commercial with this seamlessly. Okay, so if you do both, it's a really good product to have. And so let's just get into it. So the first thing is RedLink. So when we say RedLink, a lot of people think, well, hey, I bought this RedLink thermostat. Does it do Wi-Fi, right? Well, yes and no. So Wi-Fi is kind of different. So if I have a router in my house, everybody's got a router in their house by now, probably, right? Everybody who doesn't have Wi-Fi these days, right? Some people don't. Most people do. And that, if I buy a thermostat that I have to hardwire and it'll connect to that router, then that's called a Wi-Fi thermostat. We use a gateway with RedLink because this wireless signal that we're going to do, like I might have 5 wireless indoor sensors, I might have a wireless outdoor module for my condenser, might have a wireless module for my furnace or air handler, wherever that is in the house. I got my thermostat that can be wireless in the house. So all that stuff needs a big signal. And then we take our gateway and we plug it into the homeowner's existing router, and it takes that big signal and it pushes it down to something that's not going to affect that router. So they can still buy an iPad and come hook it to it. They can still do a TV and run off of it. So I don't want to go sell them a thermostat and a bunch of stuff to run their furnace and kind of fill up their router's capacity. Does that make sense? So that gateway it keeps that signal, it crunches it down to something that's not going to affect them being able to hook up to their router. Now when we use that gateway with these wireless stats, I can go a really long distance away. So in open air, it's almost a quarter mile away, right? But once you put house around it, then we're going to push the signal down, but it's still almost 8,000 square feet that RedLink signal is going to hit. So big houses, commercial buildings, RedLink is really the way to go there. So that is a protocol that we took from our security side years ago. This is kind of an older video, but it does kind of run through what the RedLink signal is. So I'm going to show you this real quick.
But the first thing we had to do is figure out what do the customers really want. We really started with Honeywell Security. Honeywell Security has put millions of devices in homes, very reliable. They've done it for many, many years. And we got all the groups together and said, okay, we need a new protocol for HVAC and residential. What should we do? We need the same level of reliability as security. In the HVAC industry, we have seen no protocols like this. If there were an industry standard, we would have used it if it met what our customers really needed. But when you're in a house, you've got different materials, you've got different floors, you've got metal, you've got stucco, you've got brick. What we did in the end is we have a system that has these multiple frequencies. It's called frequency Agile. So instead of just staying on one frequency, it moves with 50 different frequencies. When we do that, the FCC allows us to transmit at a higher power. And we can use that power to get across the house in one hop, which is extremely important to the customers. And so it's really just challenging the product. Can we break it? Can we do anything that would make it not work? when the devices recognize each other and they've been addressed to each other, they don't interfere with your neighbors. It's a very important thing. There are so many unique codes that wouldn't happen. So when we send a message, we do multiple frequencies, multiple antennas to get a message out. And also we get confirmation. Did the message get there or not? If for whatever reason the message didn't, we send it again. User has nothing to think about. We haven't found a house we couldn't get everywhere in. Well, for installing contractors, it opens up a huge possibility of doing things that they've wanted to do and now can do. With wireless, they know exactly how long it's going to take. It's going to be easy, and it's not going to be different for every job. So reliability was job number one when we built RedLink.
RedLink has been a really solid performer for us. It's one of the few things that ever breaks, so it's just a really good product. We're going to talk about the Prestige first, then we're going to go into the Vision Pro, and then wrap up with the zone panel and the outdoor module for the condenser. So some of the highlights of Prestige: it's a color touchscreen stat, so it's really nice looking. You can change the colors of that. I think there's just about every color of the rainbow in that thing, and you can. There's 256 colors, I believe, so you can actually match the homeowner's decor if you want to do that, but it comes out of the box with that nice blue back screen. It's also 2-wire, so as a contractor, if you ever had to pull a wire up through a house, it's not fun, is it, guys? Right? Especially an old house in Indianapolis or wherever you live. So I usually have 2 good wires in the house, and that's where I could use that Prestige. I only need power at this part. The module that we pack with it mounts at the equipment. So I'm only going to use 2 wires to this module, and I mount this at the equipment, and then I put in my R, my C, my W1, W2, Y1, Y2, G, O, whatever I'm using. I can also put a humidifier, a dehumidifier, and a ventilator to that thing, and 4 dry contacts for a float switch, or we pack 2 sensors in that box, and that's to give you a return and supply sensor. I can have, if I ever lost a signal from my thermostat, right? Let's say the batteries died in this thing, or somebody knocked it off the wall or stole it, right? Then that return sensor would never let that house get colder than 62 degrees or hotter than 82 degrees. So it acts as a temporary thermostat. The other sensor that's in the supply, I can tell the thermostat to, if my coil was to ever get cold, let's say I had a Freon leak and my coil started to freeze up, you could say, well, if it gets to this temperature in there, go ahead and shut the compressor off, but leave the fan running, so by the time my tech gets there, it's going to be thawed out. It's never really going to let it get into a big ball of ice, which will cause more damage than the Freon leak, okay? So, and then with both of them in there, I can do delta T monitoring. So the delta T is going to, most systems run 18 to 20 degrees normal delta T on cooling. So you can do your heating delta T and your cooling delta T, and if it gets out of those normal perimeters, it'll email your company, email your homeowner that you need to roll a truck out there. So it just really keeps you tied in with that homeowner, and keeps them from running to somebody else, because you're going to take care of their system. And so if you had a doctor that could tell you, before you have a heart attack and die, it's going to send me an email and I'm going to have an ambulance come to you, you can do that with this system now, right? And your heating and air system is no different than you. It's got a heart in it that pumps the freons of blood that runs through the system, right? And with proper diagnostics, you can tell a lot about what's going on with that system. Tom's got a question.
But to do that with the Prestige IQ, you have to, I'm assuming there's a kit with and without the rig, is that right?
So the gateway, Tom asks, can I get those temperature alerts without the gateway? The gateway is not needed for anything but to go to the internet, okay? So if I want to get those alerts, it'll give you an alert on the thermostat without that, but to get that remotely, you have to go to the internet, and the gateway allows that to happen, okay?
Come in a kit?
You can buy it with or without the gateway in a kit. So, and let me just grab one. So we sell this Prestige that's got the Prestige, the Gateway, the equipment interface module, and those 2 sensors all in one box. And it's a really good bargain to buy it that way, right? Or some people don't want to go to the internet, so you don't have to add the Gateway if the homeowner decides, I'm off the grid. I don't want people, I don't do that. And some homeowners are that way. But this thing will do 4 heat, 2 cool, dual fuel, 3 IEQ devices, dry contacts. Sure.
Real quick. What is the best practice? Is it the best practice to power that through your furnace or through an actual transformer?
So the question is, do I power that EIM through the furnace or a separate transformer? It's designed for you to use the furnace. This uses hardly any power, so it doesn't. This module is no different than a thermostat you would hook a Red Common to. Okay. So the only time that you would use a different transformer than the system is if I had a boiler in the basement and an air handler in the attic, and I'd take that RH jumper out of there and power it and have my boiler heat going in and my air handler cooling coming in and my transformers aren't hitting each other. Or if I wanted to use it in a 2-wire hydronic system, then I could use a separate transformer, power the thing, take the RH jumper out, run my heat circuit to the R&W, and I power it that way. But if I'm going to use it in a traditional heating and air system, you're going to use the power from the board of the furnace or the air handler. Okay, so it depends on your job, but yes. Okay, is that cool? Any more online? All right, so let's go through and see what else we can do here. These things walk you through the setup, so you don't really need the book, but you can get a book, and I've got some big, thick 1-inch books. If you get with any of your Jackson people, they can send you these you can have in your van that has everything that stat does in it. We can't put that in the box because these things do a lot. So these are good things. I got some for you guys back there. Make sure you grab one before you leave. And if you're online, you want it, just get with your Jackson people, and they'll mail them out to you. So I can also take a USB stick, right, and I can program into that USB stick my 1 heat 1 cool job, my 2 heat 2 cool job, my 3 heat 2 cool, my 4 heat 2 cool dual fuel, all that stuff, and save my setups and load it right in the bottom of that stat and say, well, I'm doing my 2 heat 2 cool job today. Pick that file and it sets it up instantly. I don't have to go through each setup every time, and that's pretty cool. You can also load up your company logo in that thing.
You have to have a different stick for each.
No, sir. You can load up as many files as that stick will hold on there. Yes, sir.
Then when it pulls up,
Yes, sir.
do you do the original file on thermostat?
Nope. There's a special website you go to. Oh, actually, the website you go to is to load up the logo. Once you program that thermostat once, you save that to the file. And then when you go to your next job, or you could actually sit there at that one thermostat and do everything you ever do and save it and then duplicate that stick out and give it to all your techs or whatever. But it just saves time, right? You just got to remember not to lose the thing. And then we can add some other stuff. So let's get into this board. So the board here that mounts down at your equipment, that's where all the wiring takes place, right? So I don't want to put that thing directly on the side of the furnace where the motor is. I don't want to get some harmonic magnetic field around that thing. So usually people will take and put this on the duct drop or something, or on the wall beside the equipment, and you bring in your wire from your furnace board to the thing, and that's really all the wiring you got. And then you could put in your S terminals, or where I'm going to use for my supply and return sensor or my float switch, whatever I want to get. Any dry contact on this thing that you hook to those sensors can give you an alert, so you can be pretty creative, and we'll go through some of those on some slides coming up. Sometimes in commercial units, right? When you do commercial jobs, you got a big building and it's 30 foot to the ceiling, and you got package units up on the roof, and you might want to have the thermostat in an office, but a wireless sensor out in the space to keep the homeowner, or to keep the employee from jacking around with a stat. So if you're going to put this, some people will put that inside the package unit. You can do that. But you can't, you have to drop something below the ceiling line. RedLink does not like steel around it. Okay, it's like the kryptonite for this stuff. So if this was a steel box and I put that in there and closed it, it would not send a signal out of it. And if it did get out, it'd be intermittent, right? So if I'm got this above a roof line, I can take this wireless adapter module, which is the same one we use for zoning, and there's an ABCD terminal here, and that's an antenna. So I'd drop that below the roof line. I could put that up in my equipment so I can get in the roof hatch and actually work on it, okay? So just make sure you don't put that up in a cabinet without dropping that antenna out of it. Otherwise, you'll have an issue, okay? So we're going to look at an install video real quick, okay? This is
The wireless sensors, those do both temperature and humidity.
They
right?
do temperature and humidity. So Tom asked, what do these wireless indoor sensors do? Temperature and humidity. So I got a sensor in here, right? So the nomenclature of our thermostat, that's a YTHX. X means, yes, sir.
Can you have multiple ones?
I can add, if the thermostat's one of the sensors, I can add 5 of these. If the thermostat sensor's disabled, I could add 6 of these and do averaging. I could do 1 in that. I could do 2. It doesn't matter. The old hardwired ones we had, you had to do 4 or 9 because we were doing square roots, right? Wireless signal eliminated all that square root, series parallel wiring that just stinks. If you've ever done that before, you'll love this, okay? So very good questions. But how you know that stat has the ability to do humidity anyway is because it'll be like this one's a TH8321. The 8000 means this is the Vision Pro. The 3 and the 2 means it'll do 3 heat, 2 cool, and the 1 means it's got a humidity sensor on board. If it has a 0, it means it will not read humidity. So there's a couple of things in our nomenclature. And if you don't know that, email one of your reps here, and we can send you a little chart that's got all those nomenclatures for the Honeywell stats on there. So let's look at this install video real quick. It doesn't take long, but it just shows you if I put the thermostat on the wall and I mount this at the equipment, what's it going to look like when I'm setting that up in front of a homeowner? I always thought that was a really cool thing to do because it's like a security panel. I'm not beating holes in the wall and pulling wires up through it. The last thing a homeowner wants to see you do is start knocking holes in their wall, right? So this is more professional. I just screw it to the wall, push a button, and I'm off to the races, right? Yes, sir.
What's the battery life?
They're 2 years on the indoor, 5 years on the outdoor, okay? So, but it'll tell you on the thermostat that it's time to do that, okay? So here's, yes?
Very quick question. What was the question on that?
Oh, sorry. The question was, what's the battery life, right? So my brother's in heating and air, and when we first came out with RedLink, I said, hey, man, what do you think of that? It's wireless. He goes, I got one word for you, Duracell. And he was being smart, right? So, but now it's just like, now but my comeback to that was, how many times have you hardwired a thermostat and didn't run a common to it? That's a battery-powered thermostat, no different, right? So if the batteries go out, I'm toast. At least with these return sensors in there, if the battery did die and I was in Florida, I'd still have heat, okay? Because it's going to act as a temporary stat, which your dad invented, right? All right, so how you find this deal on here is we have thermostatsetup.honeywell.com. That's where you'll upload your company logo, you'll type in your company info, load it on that same USB stick that you would have your installer setups on, and then you don't have to worry about, now Jackson still can logo that for you, but you can also have that. So you got kind of a 1-2 punch on knowing who did that, okay? So really, really simple. All right, so let's look at the install video, and then we'll move on to our next thermostat there.
Welcome to the installation guide for the redesigned Prestige IAQ. In this video, we'll cover how to install the equipment interface module, how to install the thermostat, how to power optional RedLink wireless accessories, and how to perform initial thermostat setup. To skip ahead or review a specific section, just click on the chapter menu below. Let's begin. The Prestige IAQ can either be installed using an EIM or TrueZone wireless adapter. This video will only demonstrate installation with an EIM. To learn more about installing with a TrueZone wireless adapter, please visit forwardthinking.honeywell.com. First, mount the EIM near the equipment or on the equipment itself. Use screws and anchors as appropriate for the mounting surface. If you're mounting an EIM inside a metal cabinet, such as a commercial rooftop unit, we recommend using a wireless adapter for extended range. Wire applicable equipment to the corresponding EIM terminals based on the designations listed in your install guide. To install the Prestige IAQ, first separate the wall plate from the thermostat. For drywall, drill holes that are 3/16 of an inch wide. For plaster, drill holes that are 7/32 of an inch wide. Mount the wall plate using screws and anchors included with your thermostat. Next, connect power and common from the EIM to the R and C terminals at the thermostat. You can also use a separate 24-volt transformer to power the thermostat. Push excess wire back into the wall opening once it's connected. Then, place the coin cell battery in the thermostat as shown with the plus side up. The battery saves time and date in the event of a power loss. Finally, align the thermostat to the wall plate and snap into place. System power can now be reapplied. To power optional RedLink accessories, install batteries in each device and set them aside. Please note the indoor and outdoor sensors, entry-exit remote, and vent and filter boost remote each require additional setup. Please follow the on-screen prompts during the thermostat installer setup. Next, hook up the RedLink Internet gateway to the customer's router or modem with an Ethernet cable. Then connect the gateway's power cord to an electrical outlet that isn't controlled by a wall switch. To perform initial thermostat setup, follow the prompts on screen to select the type of system you're installing. Then, link the thermostat to the EIM. Press and quickly release the Connect button on the EIM, and make sure the connected light is flashing green. If the connected light doesn't flash green, another system may be in listening mode. Exit the listening mode at the other system and try again. While the connected light flashes green on the EIM, press Next on the thermostat. After a short delay, the screen will display Device Connected. You'll then be prompted to connect RedLink accessories. Select Yes to connect new accessories or No to configure additional options and finish setup. If you selected Yes, while the Add Device screen is displayed, you can begin adding new accessories. Press and release the Connect button on each new accessory to link it to the thermostat. After a short delay, check the thermostat to confirm the connection. Continue adding accessories by pressing and releasing the Connect button on each device and checking the thermostat to confirm connection. A countdown timer will display while the thermostat is in listening mode. If it detects no activity for 15 minutes, it will automatically exit. Please note, accessories must be at least 2 feet away from the EIM during the linking process. Touch Done at the thermostat after all new accessories are connected. Complete initial setup by selecting the desired options. Touch Done to finish. The thermostat will then display its home screen, along with an alert message prompting you to set the time and date. After this step, setup is complete. For more information on installation, wiring diagrams, or operation, see your install guide or visit forwardthinking.honeywell.com.
Is the EIM module for the Prestige different than the one for the Vision Pro?
So the question was, is the EIM different for the Prestige and the Vision Pro? The answer is no. It's exactly the same model. Okay. So this EIM will work with the RedLink Focus Pro, which is still available. The RedLink Vision Pro or the Prestige is the same one. Okay, it's just the thermostat you choose depends on how many features you can unlock here, right? So one of the cool features is once you get that thing put in, hey, what'd you think of the video? So that is easy stuff, right? So instead of pulling wire for 3 hours of the day when you're out there, you're just putting that in and pushing buttons and you're good to go, and it's going to connect. So what that looks like on the job is that I've got a humidifier and a ventilator. I may have some wireless sensors throughout the house to try to average out the my temperature differences. I got a filter boost, an entry exit remote. Got a wireless outdoor sensor. One wireless outdoor sensor can support 16 RedLink thermostats inside. So in the old days, we had to pull a wire to every stat I wanted to see outdoor temperature on. That's not fun.
What's the enter and exit?
I'll go through them. Yeah, so he asked what these entry exit remotes are. But mainly it's for people that aren't online, right? So that'll give you you can set all your thermostats back on the way out the door just by hitting an away button, right? And it's also got a commercial mode. But this is 2 wires to the thermostat, mount that at the equipment, all my IAQ ties in. And so think about the next time you're there. I might have sold the furnace coil condenser today, but not sold the humidifier for the fall. But then my tech goes back in the fall, that's already sitting there. Hey, you want fries with that, right? So that's an upsell every time, because once this is there, I install my humidifier, run 2 wires over to it. I install my dehumidifier, run 2 wires over to it. Put in an ERV, I run 2 wires over to it. And and it just shows up, and that this becomes a one-stop shop for that homeowner, right? They're not running all over their house to change things. They're actually, once you put that in, there's no reason why they wouldn't want to do it on their phone, but you can control all that stuff in that one spot in your house. The portable comfort control is kind of allows you, I had people over the years go, man, I wish I could take that thermostat upstairs with me, right, because it's hot. So the portable comfort control allows you to do that without taking the stat off the wall. So if I got a hot upstairs and I can't zone it, right, because that's what we want to do, but if I can't zone it, then I could at least incorporate that portable comfort control into that thermostat. And when I go to bed at night, I set that on my nightstand, and you could push read from this device, and it'll cool to that thing instead of this. And then in the morning, you give it back control of the downstairs unit. So it's better than nothing, right? You get excessive overcooling otherwise. So this will limit it from happening, but still give you some relief in that hotter upstairs instead of just cranking that down to 68 or 62 or whatever people do to compensate for hot upstairs. And then if you have if you can't pull let's say you went from a standard air conditioner to a heat pump and there's just no way to pull that wire outside, well, we have a wireless outdoor module that I would just put on the wall outside, and I wire that into this, and I get wireless to my Prestige for my condenser and wireless from my indoor unit. So it saves you a lot of time. And then if this is just an example of, well, I just had power at the wall. We give you convenience terminals to power that stat, but if there's no wires anywhere that you can tie it to, but you still want the Prestige, you just need to get 24 volts to it somehow. All the functions of the heat and cool, the on off, the IEQ controls, all wirelessly done between that module and that thermostat. Yes?
The Vision Pro, though, can you do it with batteries and be wireless with
Yes.
the DIM?
Yeah, so the
if
question...
you don't want to even mess with the transformer,
Yes.
you could use the Vision Pro and be completely...
The demands of this thermostat, and what Tom asked was, if I use the Vision Pro, I don't even have to power it by any transformer power, and he's right. If I want a true wireless, then I'd choose this in that module, and I wouldn't have to run any wires between the two, okay? And I could mount that anywhere in the house the homeowner wanted it, right? And that's the beauty of RedLink there.
You got a question here.
Yep.
Question is,
By Constantino.
Hey, Constantino. What's up, brother?
If I installed on a commercial office building, can I manage all of the units, the rooftops, by a computer?
Absolutely. So his question was, if let's say I had a building with 40 thermostats in it, and I wanted to log into a computer and view all those, absolutely. That's what they're for. It is low-cost energy management at that point. Not only that, you can program them, and we have group scheduling. So Mark Brooks in the back here. Mark is the contractor rep for Indiana, Kentucky. He sells a lot of this stuff, and one of his big projects, he looked at one yesterday, but there's one down in Jasper that he did, and it's a plant, right? And they also have another plant in another part of the state. So they can look at all their properties, and then there was a company down in Kentucky that has 90 C-stores, which is a gas station, little mini market type thing, and they put these in there too. They're saving so much money on wasted truck rolls because they can see what's going on. They lock their keypads out. They program them all remotely from Bardstown, Kentucky, instead of having to worry about what's going on. So not only can you do that, Constantino, but more than that. And if you'll send me an email, we'll send you some group scheduling stuff. Group scheduling allows you to leave the app computer experience that's TCC, which is how we control this. And there's it allows you to log in with the same username and password, and then you can either program all the properties the same, or you can program them different areas of the building and group them together. So it's really, really cool. I think this gentleman does that in the front here because he's doing the chicken, right? Doing the chicken. Good question, Constantino. And hey, ask him how them cameras are doing. And if he gives a bad thing, don't tell me what the answer is. All right, so wireless is less wire. So we do zoning as well. So in retrofit zoning, if you can't get a wire to those spaces, it's just better to add that same module that I'd use for the Prestige or the RedLink stat out of the or to the EIM rather, and that makes my zone panel able to go and put these wireless stats in these zones and not spend half a day pulling wire up through the structure. So it's really, really convenient. All right, so it also works with all these accessories, and I'm going to go through all those accessories for you. So this is what the alerts that comes up for the homeowner or the business owner, okay? They're going to get this big check engine light. Because think about it. I mean, I used to work on cars growing up, and we didn't really have check engine lights. You had your oil, right? But now a car and an engine is just a big computer. So it'll tell you, check your engine, something ain't right. You roll it into the service center or the Chevy or wherever you bought your car. Well, we're kind of doing the same thing here. We don't want to tell the homeowner, I mean, why would the homeowner want to know that their delta T is 2? They wouldn't know what you're talking about, right? So there's a problem. Push here, your company comes up. It's a high definition billboard for your company. And Jackson System is big on your company being on that thermostat. And they do that because they know how many times people look at their thermostats. That's advertising. That is one of the best things, other than putting your letters on your truck. That's one of the best things you can do. So it makes it convenient for the homeowner because they got the model, the serial number, they got your email, they got your phone number right there at their fingertips, and it shows up on their phone too. Okay. All right. So if I've got what the delta T's, remember I said you could put a supply and return sensor in. That delta T is going to tell me if I'm low on refrigerant, if I've got some sort of a dirty furnace or my burners aren't running right, or I got a cracked heat exchanger, if my flame rollout, or I'm going off on internal overload. All that stuff is gonna give me a reason for that homeowner or that alert to come after me instead of the homeowner walking into a hot house in the summer. So let's say that now we're in Indianapolis, right? So if you don't know what Indianapolis, the cities around here, let's say that I live in Westfield, which is about what do you think, Tom? 40 minutes north of here, and then but I work downtown Indy. And it was a 90-degree day, and I was at work, and I was like, man, I can't wait to get home to, grill out and walk into my cold house. And then what do? Your air went out while you was at work, and then you didn't get that message until you opened your front door and 90-degree air hit you in the face. It's not that cold air you're looking for, right? And that's not a good feeling if you're a homeowner. Well, let's say that I got Service Plus here. They're one of our good Indiana contractors. What if that homeowner was able to call you guys at 10 o'clock and say, I got an alert on my thermostat that I don't have a coolant, or they got it on their phone, right? They could call you, and you could have went out there during normal business hours and solved a problem for that homeowner. So this is what keeps them connected to you. So not only are you saving their equipment, but they don't have to go live in a hotel room that night waiting on you to get there to do the change out, right? The next day, you can get that done.
Are those pre-configured?
What?
The Delta T calculations. I mean,
So-
does it automatically know
No.
when to send you an alert, or do you have to tell it?
No, what we're gonna. Tom asked, is this pre-configured? Is it plug and play? No, you have to start the system up. You have to charge it correctly, and then you put the parameters in there to do that. It's very simple to do. We have an install video that shows you how to do it. Forwardthinking.honeywell.com. You can go right in there, or you can call one of your Jackson reps, and they can get you in touch with your Honeywell reps locally, and they can show you how to set those up. Very simple, though. Yes.
The question is from Sean. When is the delta T measured, and is it after so many minutes of runtime?
Yeah, I tell you what. Let me just bring this up. So you can. That's all adjustable, right? So let's see here. If I can see this, if I push the escape key, is that correct? Yep. And let's just go down here to this thermostat. So this is what this thermostat looks like on your wall when you first put it in. So I'm going to pick my language. I'm going to pick residential or commercial. So Constantino, you would be commercial. I got it. Right? So whatever you're doing that day, we'll do residential. I can name my thermostat, so I can put Tom's house on here.
Is this trainer available online?
It is.
That's cool.
And he asked, is the trainer available online? You can go to Forward Thinking, download this, and practice yourself, right? Last thing I wanted to do when I was a service tech is stump my toe in front of my homeowner, because you don't want to do that, right? And that may be a barrier for you getting into this connected home stuff. Don't let it be. Practice, right? If I'm going to be shoot three, can I say that? Free throws in the NBA, I'm going to go and practice free throws, right? That's Shaq how that worked for him, right? Remember that? So I'm going to do done, and then I'm going to go through and set all this up. It's non-zoned. I've got a module, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say done. Programmable, Fahrenheit, outdoor sensor, let's just say yes. Let's say I got a forced air, conventional, standard heating, blah, blah. I got to add a couple things. So I'm going to do my return and discharge air temperature sensor, okay? Then I'm going to tell it that it's which one of the terminals it's hooked to. Whoop. And then I'm going to do, let's say I want my coil cut off at 35 degrees, or I can run that up or down, and that'll give me an alert. If my coil starts to freeze up, it'll eliminate my run time for my condenser, and it'll turn the fan on. So when I get there, I'm not looking at a ball of ice. Because if I'm looking at a ball of ice, then I'm either leaving and coming back, or I'm turning the furnace on and melting it, right? Then I'm going to say, well, I might have a full drain pan. I can add some other ones on there, but we're going to push done here. And then it's going to prompt you to set up your diagnostics, okay? And I'm going to let it do it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on cool stage 1, and I'm going to let that thing run, right? Now, if this is a new install, what do you got to do when you first introduce your Freon and turn that stuff on? You got to let it run for like 15 minutes, right? Got to equalize out before you start doing all that. So this thing will allow you to do your run time, right? And then you'll start to see your supply, your discharge and return temperatures will start to equalize and start doing their thing. And then your delta T is automatically calculated over here. Once you do that, you go to your next step. Is that working? Yeah, there, somewhere. There it is. And then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to set my fault limits, okay? So I'm going to do my minimum limit. Let's say that I don't want it to go no lower than 10 degree delta T, and I don't want it any more than 25 or something. And then I can go over here and do my run time, right? So I can extend that run time out, or I can make it tighter. But whatever you choose, it's not going to send and it won't send an alert willy-nilly. It has to have 10 faults on that setup before it sends out 10 alerts before it sends out a fault, rather. Okay? Because it may be a startup period, it may be something going on, but if there's an actual problem and you're losing Freon, it's going to go below your minimum limit, it's going to outrun your timer, and then you're going to get a proper alert and you're going to be able to go out there and fix it. So you got to do service work, right? It's not, you should know how to do that, right? If you're a heat and air guy, you should know how to set a proper delta T. It's going to take a couple of them to get used to that, but that's how you monitor this thing, okay?
Is all that available on the Vision?
It is. No. So delta T is only available in Prestige, okay? If I move down to this one, I can get a coil cut off and my return, my temporary thermostat feature, but the delta T is only available in this one, okay? All right, I told y'all it was awesome. What do you think? Scared of it? I'm kidding. It is nice. All right, so let me get back down here. I gotta from current slide. Did I do it? No? Is it up? All right, good. All right, so that's how you set all that up, and that'll start capturing up all that mess, okay? And all these things that could possibly go wrong. Now, it's not going to tell me I got a cracked heat exchanger, but I'm going to get an alert, and then I know I got a problem, right? So I'm going to roll out there, and it's going to be a real problem. All right, so we also, in that thermostat, we have alert logs, user interaction logs. How many times have you ever programmed a thermostat, right? And you put it on the wall, and then you get a call back, and they say, this thing ain't working right. Right, and you get the right homeowner or business owner, and they'll get in there and they'll get on the side of the fence that's made for the installer, and they'll turn the heat pump into a gas unit. It's happened, and then when you go say, well, who messed with this? Oh, we never touched it. Well, we got this little handy dandy thing called a user interaction log. You push that, and it'll say who did what, and they changed setup number 201 to 205, and they did it at 3:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday, December 16th. It will tell on you. And then you go in there and say, don't do that. Because if you do it again, I'm going to charge you next time I come out of here. Or whatever. But that just helps you not chase your tail as a service tech. You can go in there and say, well, okay, little Billy thought he was smart and screwed up my install. So you can go back to normal. Yes, sir?
Can you do this online?
No, you got to be in front of it, right? So that would be a little intrusive, but yes, that would be a good idea too. Alert logs, I go in there and it stacks up my alert logs. After 25, it goes back to 1, right? So it kind of eats itself after a while. Performance logs, it does hourly, daily, weekly, monthly performance logs. And so I can go in there and look in there and say, wow, here's what happened I can go back in time and try to find some trends, right? It was really, really cool. And then, here's my data logs. Installer setup change, humidifier type 8000 at 6:37 p.m. on Wednesday, June 1st. It's got information in there for you. So as a tech, that's stuff I need because I can troubleshoot looking at that bit of info. Okay. And let's see. All right, I'm going this way now. So keep searchable history of interactions, temperature settings, installer setups, helps determine if problems or a system malfunction or somebody screwed up with the installed setup. It saves the last 250 events and then starts going back to 1. Okay. Also, if my cooling is if I get a delta T, you got a question? Yeah.
How many thermostats, sensors, etc., can be remotely monitored through the internet gateway? That's from
4.
Ben.
The magic number is 4 with a 4 thermostats per gateway, right? It's just the magic number. And if you think about a commercial building, and I had 12 thermostats in there. Well, I'd want to space each one of those, kind of take the building and take those 4 gateways or 3 gateways and just kind of spread them out, okay? And the alert logs, and then I got all my Delta T stuff, hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. It saves all that information, so I can go in there and try to pinpoint when I had the issue and fix it. Yes, sir.
Back to that last question. If you have the Honeywell zoning,
Yes.
does that count as one?
So Tom asked if I have a Honeywell zone panel and I have 4 thermostats hooked to it, how many thermostats does it count as? If I have the wireless adapter module and I'm using 4 of these thermostats wirelessly to that panel, it only sees 1. So I could have 4 zone systems, 16 thermostats, and use 1 gateway to manage all that. But if I had this EIM hardwired into zone 1, going wireless between here, and I had a hardwired stat and 3 wireless, it would count as 2. Okay? So we have to, but if it's just a 1 zone system, it's 1, that counts as 1 channel. So it's like a 4 channel deal, and I can only use 4 per gateway. Okay? All right, let's move through. If I want to put this in here, I can upload my dealer information. I could upload my install setups like I was telling you, and it gives you all that. I can also download my alert logs, take them back to my office, and keep it in a customer file and have everything that ever went on with that customer's system and save it if I wanted to do that. Here's your alert reminders. It's fall service. It's allergy season. There's 10 custom reminders that you can load in there and put whatever you want, right? So it's reminding you to do your service or whatever. We had a guy in Chicago when I was a rep up there that wanted us to put in, he wanted to winterize his sprinkler system. And he goes, can they put in there like October for me to do that? Yeah, we did it. So it doesn't matter what you put in, but it was intended for marketing stuff, right? So it's whatever you want to do. And then these things will come up if those were to be triggered. Now, when I get into commercial, I'm going to choose commercial because that's going to change the algorithm. It's going to change the software to the commercial software. You know, building owners don't understand where to set a sleep period, right? So it doesn't say weekly return sleep in commercial. It's occupied, unoccupied. And we might have to do some recovery ramps or adjust some things that commercial stuff needs or some different dehumidification options that we're going to get when we choose commercial mode. And some of the, I can do keypad lockout. We can do initiate occupancy, so it's like Sunday school class, and they're only in there on Sunday. We make these wireless motion sensors that you can hook to these thermostats, and when everybody comes into the class, it turns the air on. 30 minutes after they walk out of the class, it'll turn the air off. So there's a bunch of different options you can do.
That's a RedLink wireless?
It's the same one we use for all our commercial stats. But there's a little module that you tie into the Prestige, and it's wireless to that. That's a WSK or I forget the model number off the top of my head, but you can do that. And then I can go in here and start, just like I showed you, I can start adding all my dry contacts to get alerts from. So let's say that I got multiple drain pans above a ceiling. I can go in and add all these wet switches that would normally be shutting the system down, and know I got a full drain pan above that whether it's in the basement, whether it's above the ceiling, wherever it is, and get an alert for that, right? So this is a really bad situation to ever have in a house, but if I had some sort of a flood detector, I can hook it straight to my Prestige and get a remote alert about it. And if I'm in Florida, I want to know that, right? If I've got a sump pump overflowing, if I've got something going on, if I got water up under my sink or whatever, we can get alerts back to you, right? And stop that from happening, or as bad as it, or making it worse. This is an example of the coil getting frozen up. I don't even have to add that because once I put that sensor in there that we package with it, it comes with that thing. You can get an alert and stop that from happening. This is a big nasty mold spot from a drain pan above the ceiling that that leaks. So if I just had that float switch hooked to that Prestige, I can choose system shutdown, and instead of just cutting the power and doing it that way, it would stop the heating and cooling from happening and email the customer an alert without killing the power. Okay, so you'd take your normal float switch, tie it into this, get an alert, and you know you got an issue you need to fix. And then different things throughout the house I can do here. That's the system shutdown. That would keep from flooding. And then on light commercial also, if I got a walk-in cooler, you take an old-fashioned Honeywell refrigeration controller, and that's a dry contact into my thermostat, place it inside that walk-in cooler or freezer. I'm not going to have $30,000 of food ruin, right? Yes.
Did you say on the drain pan alert, it will shut off the unit if you want it? If it
Yes,
you wanted to? Okay.
But you have to choose system shutdown and put the float switch into this.
Okay.
Okay, and that'll do without killing the power. Because if I did that and I had a gateway to it and I had the float switch shut the unit down, I'm not getting an email alert. It might have shut the power off before the alert was generated. So use this with system shutdown to shut your equipment and not kill the power. And then the same thing with the spoiled food. If I just monitor that, it's just a feature, right? So some of these light commercial jobs that Mark and I go out on, we try to add that to it to make it better for that customer to manage their food and stuff. All right, so whether it's a Prestige or a Vision Pro, I have to add the gateway to go to the internet. I do not need the gateway to make all that stuff work. I just need the gateway to get the remote alerts and run, have fun running my temperature up and down. Right, mother-in-law comes in town, 90, she leaves. That's a joke. All right. So outdoor sensor. If I got one outdoor sensor, it'll power 16 RedLink thermostats. It reads temperature and humidity, and it does more than just show you what the temperature is outside. If I got a ventilator, like sometimes we put a normally closed damper and we open it up, bring some fresh air in, it'll modulate that. It'll also I could put limits in there and say if it's 100 degrees outside, don't bring that into my house. Wait till it gets to normal temps. If it's
so you can set that to economize for you?
it's not that it's a ventilation limit, so you're not sucking in 100-degree air from outside and ruining your Delta T. When it gets down to back to 80 degrees or something your system can handle, then you can say, okay, now I'm going to allow it. So now if you use an ERV, that's not going to be as much of a problem because you're recovering most of that heat, right? But it'll give you ventilation lockouts during extreme outdoor conditions. Okay, so instead of just having the thing open up no matter what the temperature is outside, this will be a little bit better. Okay. The portable comfort control, that's the one that I can get remote control from. If I want to take it upstairs and say read from this thermostat, that's what I would do. But if I incorporated that into a zone system that had 4 thermostats, it can take those 4 thermostats and give me I could sit and run my whole house from that. Okay? Now, people that would do that are not going to be the ones that are using phones, right? They're going to be, I don't want to go to the internet, but I do want something to manage that. I could put 16 thermostats into that one handheld. So if it's a light commercial job and the guy just wants local control, I can do that, or I can take him to the internet. So it gives you a choice. But to get the remote reading from upstairs, I can only put it at one thermostat, and then it'll change the screen automatically if I add more to it. Okay. Just like Tom was saying earlier, if I've got a wireless indoor sensor and I want to do averaging, then I'm just going to add these. I mean, they're very simple. You got a RedLink stat? You got a RedLink stat anywhere? Well, there's a sensor for it. I brought these. I'm not giving yours away, Tom. Right? So you guys take a look at these. Who else is a contractor in here? In the back? All right? There's one for you. So those things there, you just simply add batteries to them. They got a temperature, humidity sensor. So if I want to put my, I could do averaging, so I can try to cool that, get that temperature a little better, being stratification all through the house. But sometimes I may want to read my humidity from upstairs and my dehumidifier from downstairs. So if I put one in the attic, I mean, not the attic, shit. We're going to delete that one. Sorry. Right. Sorry, everybody. I was doing well, wasn't I, Mark? So, so I can take that and put it in my bedroom to read my humidity in the winter so I don't get nosebleeds. And then in the basement, I can add one to run my dehumidifier instead of relying on the center part of the house to do that. Okay? Very, very cool piece of gear. Yes, sir.
I'm back on the portable comfort controller.
Yes.
We had one in our house before we switched to Carrier Infinity, unfortunately, so we had to get rid of it. But my wife absolutely loved that thing. Even though we could get to it from our phone, she had that on her nightstand. And I bet if a contractor offered that, I bet you they would sell them 50% of the time, even if they've got the rig with it, because it's just so nice to have it right there. You don't
A lot
have
of
to worry
people
about
like 'em.
fumbling with your phone. And,
It is. So did everybody hear what Tom was saying? So Tom had one, then he bought a communicating system that don't incorporate it in, and that was the one thing his wife missed, right? And I don't know about you guys, but when Mama's happy, we're pretty happy, right? Happy wife, happy life, whatever you say. So, but it's all about, Tom's point is that if you don't offer it to them, they never know it exists, right? And you got one chance to help that customer out. One of the things that I used to do as a tech is when I rolled up in front of a house and I saw one condenser in 2 stories of house, I knew they were hot, right? You guys see it every day, right? So now you could go in there and do your service job. You can say, okay, you know what, Mr. Jackson, everything looks great on your system. I'm going to renew you for next year's service agreement. But I did notice one thing. It's 10 degrees hotter upstairs and downstairs. How's that working for you? And then you shut up and let them answer. And they'll say, well, man, you know what? You're the first tech that's ever been to my house that asked that question because I burn up there every summer, right? Well, I was able to look at your system downstairs. I can get motorized dampers in your ductwork, and I can put thermostats on both floors and give you individual room temperature control. How much is that? That's all I'm asking. Give me a chance to give you a price. But I didn't just go in there and say, hey, you want a $5,000 zone system? Because what are they going to tell you, Tom? No. Right? You got to identify the problem before you start opening your mouth, right? And and if you can't zone it, before the portable comfort control, it was suffer, right? So now I got something I can do. I can do that, or I can add sensors and do averaging. So I got something else to offer that homeowner. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be way better than what they're living now, okay? And then on the entry-exit remote, if I got that by my back door and I'm not online or I got a building or whatever, I can incorporate 16 RedLink thermostats to that one remote. And I go to the back door, I'm leaving. It sets them all back to my away mode. When I come home, I push I'm home, and it turns them all on to that if I'm not programming them, okay? There's also a vacation mode that if I got a vacation mode programmed in these stats, it'll go to vacation mode until I come back home, okay? That's for people that don't have the phone on the stuff on their phone, right? The ventilation boost, let's say I'm downstairs and I'm cooking bacon and it smells like bacon, right? Which is a good smell, but I don't want to smell it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I want to ventilate boost. So I can go here and hit 20, 40, 60 minutes of ventilation, and that'll cut my system on. Sometimes back in the day, I used to do new construction, custom homes, and we would, instead of putting bath fans in, we'd put ERVs, HRVs to have constant air coming out of that bathroom all the time. But when you went in there and took a shower or something, I might want to override that and have fan speed. That will do that. I can put that in every bathroom. If I'm ducting an ERV, I got it running off the Prestige. That's keeping my house ventilated, and I can go, well, give me 20 minutes, 40 minutes, or 60 minutes, and it'll go to high speed fan, ventilate to give you some extra ventilation. Or I might have a 4-inch media filter or something in there, and I got a bunch of people coming over or something. I can say, well, give me a little more boost, okay? So cool or not cool? Cool. Right? So now we're looking at the Vision Pro. So the Vision Pro does almost everything that Prestige does, but it doesn't do Delta T, right? It doesn't do, it doesn't have the color touchscreen, but it almost does everything else. But if I want to go true wireless, I have to have this one because I can use 4 batteries. We give them to you. You can mount these with or without this EIM. So if I got enough wires at the wall, I can just mount that. But I got to have a common to it. We have to have a common because that RedLink signal needs to be 24 volt. So if I got just a single system, I put that in, and I can add, once I got a common, I can add all the wireless accessories that I want, right, and run it. But if I don't have enough wires at the wall, I'm going to mount this downstairs and this upstairs, and I can either run 2 wires so I don't have to rely solely on the batteries, or I can go totally wireless to the thing. And it lasts for 2 years on the batteries. It'll tell you on here 2 months away from dying it's time to change them, right? So it gives you plenty of warning. You don't have to like guess. And that goes for all of my stuff, right? So this is an example of what I was talking about. I can go straight into my system. That should be 5 wire, okay? But do we got a wire saver somewhere back there, Mark? Okay. So the wire saver, whether I've got a Wi-Fi thermostat or the new T-Series, which we'll do another T-Series, which is our new Focus Pros later. Ooh, and I got it. Hey, he shoots, he scores. So this little doohickey here, you keep it on your van. Let's say that Rip and Tear Heating and Air put 4-wire thermostat wire in, no common, right? And then you go and do a change out, or they would just wanted a Wi-Fi stat or a RedLink thermostat. This has a little whip on it that's got 5 wires that you plug into the board, and then the 4-wire that's already there, you just plug it into the top, and that saved you from pulling a wire up for a common. This guy has obviously done that, right? Well, how much is a wire pull? How much does it cost you to pull a wire up through a house?
In some houses, it's almost impossible.
I know, but if you, let's say you can pull it. If it took you an hour and a half, how much is that? $300. How much does this cost, Tom?
No clue.
$30. If it's $30, it's worth it, right? So think about that, man. Why do stupid stuff, right? It's brain damage not to have this on your truck, right?
But if you do need wire, get it from Jackson Systems.
He does sell Honeywell wire. But I don't get credit for it, so get you a wire saver. Tom's got you covered. So I can do standard installation, 2-wire, or wireless. It's a very, very diverse system, okay? There is you already saw. So it's going to be pushing buttons and going through. Now, this is just like we did with the Prestige, right? So, but that's just going to represent the wireless part of that for me. I can still add my sensors all through my house. I can add my wireless outdoor module, and it's going to work with all that mess. That's the outdoor module, okay? So you can buy that by itself, or you can buy that with the module and the thermostat in one box, or you can buy the module, thermostat, and this EIM in one box, right? And then you're pulling no wires anywhere, okay? So we wanted you to mount it on the outside of the house, and you have to have 24 volts to it. So if you got a good 2-wire coming out there and you're upgrading to a heat pump, just take it off the common and yellow that's on the furnace, hook it to RNC, and power it. Or I could put a little transformer in there and take one leg of my contactor and power it, and then I'll have power to it. I just got to have 24 volt. And then you wire that into the condenser. It wirelessly sends you all the Y1, Y2, switch over valve and everything, okay? If you do boilers, I can have, let's say I got a boiler in the basement, an air handler in the attic, and I got 2 T87s on the wall. And you see that. Exactly. And you want to say, well, I just want one thermostat. Well, I can put this up at the air handler, this down at the boiler, one out there at the wireless outdoor, because I can use 2 of these. If I take the jumper out, I can hook one to a boiler, one to my condenser, and have that thermostat condensed to 1 and take them to the internet and upgrade that homeowner with something really, really nice.
Now, since you brought this up,
Yep.
what's the possibilities of getting outdoor reset?
So outdoor reset is a function of the boiler. So now if I got a cast iron boiler, I can't do reset because we just don't do reset with these. You're just going to have a hot boiler with it. But that'll give you an opportunity to upgrade the boiler to a condensing one, and then it's got the reset built in. So hopefully we push your homeowner to something more efficient, and they might get a rebate from it, right? And we'll finish up with rebates here in a second. But here's an example of the thermostat, the outdoor unit, and a boiler. So I can have 2 on one. I just can't have 2 condensers on one stat, okay? We don't want you to mount this on the equipment. We want you to mount it on the wall. That plus it needs to be on the wall, right? We got steel here. These aren't the best. We don't want to put it inside there, right? Because what happens when I put RedLink in steel? Doesn't like it, right? And then there's I got a jumper here that I'll pull out for a boiler. So it's very, very simple stuff. Also got if I don't have a wireless sensor and I got a hard wire, instead of pulling a separate hard wire all the way from inside, I could just put that hardwired sensor outside and run it that far. And it'll give you all that information, okay? And that is no more wire pulls when I put those 3 together. So it's very easy. Now, when I want to do RedLink zoning, I get the HZ432 or the 322 panel. I add that wireless adapter, and then I can go add wireless thermostats through my home, right? So I'm not spending a half a day pulling wires up through the house. I mean, zoning back in the early 90s, we used to pitch a tent at the house because we were there all week, right? It's terrible. So when I set that up, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to hit the configure button. I'm going to say, is it RF enabled? RF means remote frequency, right? I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to go and tell it that zone 1 is wired or it's remote, right? If it's a wireless, I'm going to choose RF. If it's hardwired, because I can have both wired and wireless on the same panel. Then I can go through and add devices like the outdoor sensor, because if it's dual fuel, this panel is our dual fuel panel. I'd add the wireless outdoor sensor. I don't have to pull a wire outside. I get balance point changeover without a hard wire. Okay.
Does Honeywell, since that has the dual fuel kit in it,
Yep.
when you set up, if you're using standard wired thermostats,
Yep.
do you set those up as a regular heat pump, or do you say that they're dual fuel?
So when you set up our thermostat, Tom's question was, if I've got a dual fuel system, this is the kit. The thermostat is not the dual fuel kit when it's my zone panel or Tom's, right?
Correct.
You have to have the dual fuel panel. Then you got to have an outdoor sensor hooked to my panel or his. We do it wireless or hardwire, and then you set the thermostat up. It'll ask you in the setup of this thermostat, it's a heat. I got to tell it it's a heat pump because that's what I'm running, and then it'll ask me, well, what's your backup? Well, my backup is gas, and then or electric. And then it'll ask me, do you have an external or fossil fuel kit, external or internal? If I'm doing zoning, I'm going to choose external and then I'm telling this that what I'm doing, but this is doing all the switch over. So let's say if my balance point's 35, above 35 degrees, it's going to route it through the heat pump. Below 35 degrees, it's going to route it through the furnace. Easy peasy, right? So that's how that works. And then I can check out my system by going in here and how I'll set my thermostats up. I'll go and it'll say, well, it'll roll you through a bunch of names, and I can pick what I want to call that zone, and then it says it's yes, I'm zoned. What is it? Equipment module? Yes or no? I'll say no. I got a zone panel, and then it'll ask you, well, which zone is this damper? What is that? Zone 1 damper, zone 2 damper, zone 3, and I'll address it accordingly. And then I'll say connect, and it'll hook my thermostat up, and I'm done. Okay? I am done. So is that cool or not cool?
That's cool.
So I know this is just a kind of a rehash on some RedLink stuff. Don't forget about zoning, because that'll just allow you to not run any wires through there. Yes, sir, Tom.
I noticed you got a new rig. Is it any different than the old one?
You throw it up. You got the new one back there? So we have a gateway. The gateway used to be black, right? Yeah. And we changed them. They're a lot smaller now. Okay. So this gateway,
It costs less, right?
it does cost less, I think, unless Tom's jacking you up. But he might. So.
Well, that puts us in an awkward position.
Tom's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
I have
So,
no idea.
so what we did was in Indiana here we have Duke and we have Vectren, and they have rebates, right? And for Vectren you have to be Energy Star rated. All of our thermostats, all our Wi-Fi and all our RedLink thermostats, RedLink has to have this tied to it to be Energy Star rated. Then you qualify for the Vectren rebate. So if I called you out to my house and you said, hey man, I want to sell you one of these, I'd have to add a gateway to it, and I can get $75 if Vectren, so I pay my bill to. Okay, so that helps. So we had to change some software in the gateway to make that happen. Okay, we also made it a little more modern looking, so it's not and you can hang it on the wall or you can set it up right to do that. Cool. So for lack of time, I want to thank all of you for coming out. Right. If you got any questions, you know how to get a hold of your Jackson people. And Ben, you got some stuff you're going to finish up on. So thank you.
Again,
yeah,
Gary,
man.
for everything. Thank you for everybody that attended here in person, also online. So it was a great turnout this evening. As always, everything that we talked about here today, or Gary talked about here today, can be found on our website at www.jacksonsystems.com. Or you can feel free to call us. We have a great service team downstairs that can help you out with anything. That phone number is 888-652-2895. So again, thanks for attending this evening, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to smack that like button below. And if you want notifications on brand new videos that are coming out tailored just for you, be sure to subscribe right here to the Jackson Systems YouTube channel. Now, if there's some videos you missed, you can always check it out right here. Go ahead and click subscribe. Other videos, like, do it.